Hey, welcome back, Art 2. Now we're hanging out online. Who would have thunk it? I hope that you are all doing well. I missed you guys very much. I thought I would just go over this handy dandy little worksheet with you guys. Some of you guys were able to grab this from me on the last Friday that we had school, but if not, I've emailed it out. If you're like me and you don't have a printer, no worries. Just look at the digital one. And you can actually just draw yourself a little value scale like this to practice. You don't need to write any of the text or anything. I wouldn't do that. But you can just draw yourself this either with a ruler or just with a straight edge. Usually I'm too lazy to stand up, so when I need a straight edge, I just grab something like an envelope and I just use this as a straight line. So we're kind of jumping into micrography. And what micrography is, I wrote here that it is the practice of shading using words to create value. So we're creating value, which means we're shading, but instead of shading with just pencil strokes or pen strokes, we're going to be using words. So if you can look really closely, you can see this value scale is actually all made out of text. It's all letters. So it's the whole value scale, but it's all made of words. In the areas that you want a really dark value, we're going to overlap a lot of words. And in the space where we want a light value, that's where we're going to have less words, of course. Another way to do it, instead of more words and less words, is you could just use heavy pressure to make a really bold dark line and light pressure to have a really light font. And that's why we're going to have like two different areas to practice. So let me see if I can kind of bring you on down here. Maybe I'll flip it this way so you can kind of see it. This top one, we're going to practice spacing the words out. So if I'm making a value scale from dark to light, I'm going to pick a word. Oh, golly. I'm just going to pick the word flower because I'm sitting by some flowers. So if I wanted to have this be a really nice dark value, I think what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to have these words, the word flower, written pretty like compact and closer together. Now this is a type of art where I'm sure that you're going to get a really sore hand because this is a lot of work. And you might even experience that thing where when you're writing, when you write the words so many times that it no longer looks like a word to you. That definitely is happening to me right now. Spelling flower, but it's kind of losing its meaning. And you might notice I'm overlapping them. They're getting closer and closer. They're not really quite as straight anymore, and that's all right. I'm just letting this be like a fluid process. All right, so it's pretty much filled in. It's not really that dark, though, when I look at it. This certainly is looking a lot darker. So I'm actually going to go in. I'm going to overlap, and it's okay if this starts to become pretty abstract. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually writing the word bigger because I think it'll cover a bit more ground that way. Flower, flower, flower. I'm going to teach you a little bit of a cheeky, sneaky, a little bit of a cheat way. Once you get to this point, you know, it's not that legible. I would say in your really dark value areas, who would really notice if you just did a little bit of loop-de-looping around? I think that's okay. But, you know, some of you guys are going to be pretty intense about it and pretty perfectionist about it, and that's up to you. But I think if there's a little hack to make your life easier and your teacher's okay with it, you know, why not take it and run with it? I know that I certainly would do it. So I'm just kind of looping around. It's the, you know, it's the concept that counts here. Like, we know that buried underneath there is the word flower. That's looking pretty good to me. I'm not going to go all the way to solid because then I feel like, what will the point have been? On this one, I'm going to go ahead, space it out a little bit more. You can tell my handwriting is getting kind of loosey-goosey, but that's okay. If you haven't noticed, I'm a pretty relaxed gal, so however you like to approach it is fine with me. I guess we didn't really talk about pens or anything. I think for this technique, the spacing technique, you can use any kind of pen you want. You can use a ballpoint pen, like what I'm using, just like a basic office pen. You can use a fine point Sharpie. You can use a flare pen. You can use a little micron. Whatever you want to use is fine. I would say, like, probably don't use a marker, like a felt tip marker, just because I don't think you're going to be able to get fine lines, and then that will be challenging for you, especially on like these lighter ones. So with this kind of medium tone value, I'm expecting it to be slightly legible, although still not like super legible. I think that looks like a pretty good jump in value. This one, I'm going to try to have it be very, very legible. So I'll slow it down. I'll use nicer handwriting. If you want to be really particular and use like cursive, I bet that would look really nice, Guys, how are you doing out there? Tell you what, it's been 1 week. Actually, it's been, I think, more than a week, because today's Monday, and we last had school like 2 Fridays ago. Getting a little bored, you guys. I miss you. It's weird not to be teaching my people. I hope that you're doing good, though. At least it's been, nice weather for solo outings or outings 6 feet away from other people. Just been walking my dog a lot. Flower. See, I'm looking at it and it like doesn't even look like a word to me anymore. I've written it so much. Let me know if that happens with yours. Pick a word you like, I guess, because you'll be writing it an awful lot. You see, it's a lot larger. I've increased the size of the font, and they're no longer like overlapping. This one I'll go like really big. Flower. 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 Speaking of flowers, I'm starting to garden because I got the time. All right, so that's the first method. That's method 1, using words to create value by overlapping. The next one, we're going to create a value scale using more and less pressure. This one, you would really want to use like only a ballpoint pen, the kind of pen I'm using right now. This top one that I just showed you, you can use any kind of pen, but for this one, since it's based on using pressure, it has to be a ballpoint pen because that's going to give you different values. So I'm going to flip it over so you can see a little bit better. All right, I'm going to use the word pepper because I'm sitting right here with a pepper grinder. So if I want to create a dark value, ooh, I feel a little bit bad. This is going to kind of dent my table. I'm going to put something underneath. I'll put a stack of mail. That way my husband won't be mad that I dented this table that he made me. He made me this kitchen table for my birthday last year. Actually, he doesn't really mind. I do art projects on it, but I don't know if I want the word pepper on it 100 times, like engraved into it. I don't know if I want to remember this memory forever. Maybe I do. Maybe this will be like a fun, bizarre time that we'll all look back on. You can tell your grandkids about it. That's a weird thought. All right, so right now, I'm really pressing quite hard, and I'll tell you what, it really hurts right here when you do this. If you use a ballpoint pen, you might have some of this action. Just part of the artistic process, though. Sometimes we come out looking a little bit dirty after we made art, and that's no big deal. Ain't no thing. Chicken wing. So like I was saying, if you need to do this on a piece of paper that's not, already printed out, that is fine with me. This one I moved on. I'm using less pressure. I suppose I kind of started writing it a bit larger, but I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to try to keep it the same size. If you need to do this on an alternative kind of paper, because maybe you don't have white paper, you could literally use the back of an envelope. I mean, we get so much junk mail. I don't know about you guys, but we're always getting junk mail, and that's on nice white paper. You can totally use an envelope. You can use a grocery bag. I know that's brown, but honestly, that might look really cool. You could do it on a receipt. Suppose you could do it on some graph paper or some lined paper if you have a notebook from one of your other classes. I'm not picky, like I said. This is just for practice. So it does not matter if yours looks just like mine. Probably won't look just like mine because we are different people. All right, so I'm not pressing as hard. My hand is not hurting quite as much. This one I'm going to go even more gentle. Sometimes I find that it actually can be a little bit hard to loosen up that pressure. I think we all kind of have like a default amount of pressure that we apply to our pen. So once you start to break away from whatever your normal is, it can be hard not to just like slip into, your habit of how you normally hold it. So you do have to be mindful. Gotta be in the moment and think about, okay, how hard am I pressing my pen to the paper? Because you can see it has a big effect in the value. Maybe not a big effect, but it has an effect. All right, as I'm closing in on this, I'm gonna really loosen up my pressure. I'm gonna try to get it to be as light as possible on these next two. So I'm just hardly touching this against the paper. Depending on the ballpoint pen you use, you can sometimes see a big difference in the value. I feel like if you have one of those really, really cheap pens, like the outside is just like white plastic, and you can almost like snap them in half because they're so cheap. I feel like those will give you a great range of value because they're kind of a poor quality material. So if you don't, press that hard on them, it's not going to give you that much ink just because it's not that nice of a pen. But that's like a good thing for this. Ah, this is really hard. So hard to do. It's okay if you're struggling too. I think it's good for you to see me struggle because A, it's kind of funny to watch, and B, you'll not feel so alone if you're struggling. Okay, this one I'm just barely trying to scuff it against the page. Oh no! If you use the very edge, I'm holding it kind of like at a 45-degree angle, not as much ink is going to come out, which I think is good for what I'm trying to achieve for a value scale. We're getting so close. Almost there. Yeah, I like using just like the very edge of it because sometimes a little bit of ink gets caught on this little metal tip, but it's not enough to do like a whole stroke. So you get these sections that are almost a little bit of a ghost value. That's what we like. Okay. Here's my two value scales. Whoa! This one using overlapping. This one using pressure. It's not, it's a much more subtle difference, but you can tell lighter here because I use less pressure compared to here where I was pressing really hard. So I think that's going to be it for today. But I'll check back in with you, soon, shortly, and we can take a look at kind of some of these other exercises. We'll look at doing a sphere using Micrography next, and it'll be really fun. Yeah, so go out, make some art today, enjoy your day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye.